Fuck. Come on, dude.
Hey, come on, yo. Hey, mute your phone. Yo, we live. CK, mute your shit.
CK just got the shit shot out of him.
Yeah, you gotta just mute that. Mute that, see? Mute that.
Get dropped, bitch. Oh, we getting third party.
Hey, mute. CK, you gotta mute that crazy thing you on, yo. You crazy shit.
Oh, we getting third
party. CK, come on, yo.
Hey, CK, yo, they getting fucked up.
Yeah, man, we got triple party. Goodness gracious. But that was the last match. I ain't playing no more tonight. Yeah, man, how was they not fucking ready for that shit, though? I called the motherfuckers out, and they still got jumped by them. Oh, God, what kind of craziness?
Hey, CK, is you serious right now? You know what? I got you.
No, I'm done.
So we live, yo. You cussing and fussing. And
oh, my bad.
Like you wouldn't be playing a game on a pseudo kills, would you?
No, I just needed the stress relief for a good hour.
God damn. See, that was funny right there. They caught you live too, yo. That's gonna start the show off with that. What do you say? There they go. What you say, CK? What you say?
Man, that's some bullshit though. I called the team out. I knew that they was camping up there. It was two teams fighting to our left. I wanted to push the team to our left, and we get jumped by I don't know what team. I dropped 2 people, but I didn't kill nobody, which is crazy. Because we had to fight 2 different teams because motherfuckers weren't ready.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you have to excuse CK. She has nothing to do during the pandemic but play the game.
Hold up now. I've been working all week.
I don't believe you.
Well, you need receipts.
All right, let me see who piling up in the chat, man. We better get this thing on, man. Hold on, let me see what they got in there. CK, you funny. That was a funny one, yo. I thought somebody was attacking you, yo.
A little toxic, I ain't gonna lie.
Boy, I see. I believe in self was good. I see you. Anthony Smith, what it do? Thugs. What is that? Thugs 3F. I don't know what that is, man. You got me confused. Damn, boy. You got me confused. Boy, Brother Logic, RMF. What's good, man? You know I can't even read your name, yo. I'm gonna pick one. Beam.
Ibibio.
You gotta say that. Say it again. You said it right. Ibibio. What up, Bibio? What's good, man? What it do? Gary Hart, what's up with you? Man, what's up, Anthony Bowman? Peace. Indonesia, 5,000. What's good? Well, I see you. Distro, what up with you? Harold Richards, they coming in. What's up, Pope? What it do, man? Jaleel Henry, what's up with you? What's that? Stoke? Did I say that right? STOIC? Stock? How you say that?
It's Stoic.
Stoic? Dang. Well, I messed your name up. Stoic? What's going on? Sankofa, what's up with you? Eric Ishmael, B-Money. Shalonda, what up with you? What it do? Oh, man, that's a whole lot. It's a whole lot right there. Usher Mayat Ra. Yeah, I'm going to say that. What's good with you? Mike Jones. Be more up in here, man. What's up with you? I see you, Be more. You up in there? King of the Craft, welcome back, man. You've been disappearing, man. Yo said talk about how the white lady beat up Jabari. Nah, she ain't beat up Jabari. She just lied.
Hey, she just lied the whole goddamn.
Yeah, we'll fix that on the replay. Jabari, good. We'll fix that.
I'm gonna clear it up tonight, though. Let's clear it up right quick.
You got to get it. I ain't seen it. Is it over with?
I don't know.
Oh, it's all good. Zen. What's up? Conscious Channel, man. What's up with you, man? I see you. So, all right. Man, pseudo killers on deck, man. Y'all already know what it is, man. We'll do it like this, man. What's good? What's happening? A well-organized lie. The feats of disorganized truth every time. Woo-hoo-wee. Man, y'all already know what it is, man. It's Pseudo Killers on deck. Yeah, we here to do, we got to do, we got to do, we got to do. We standing tall, we standing strong. Yo, Pseudo Killers on deck. What's going on? Official. What's up with you, Chef and L? What it do, man? Pseudo Killer on deck.
What's up with everybody? Seeing what we're gonna get into tonight. You feel me? I know we got a full plate tonight. You feel me? We just gonna run it down the line. You know what I mean? See who we can catch out there in them pseudo streets. You feel me?
Out there laughing.
We definitely riding around looking for y'all.
Definitely riding around. Creeping, kind of catches riding dirty. Yeah, we got him. You know what I'm saying?
Reggie, you definitely riding dirty right now.
Yeah, you riding dirty, Reggie. You riding dirty. Nahisi, what's good, man? Pseudo Killer on deck. Official, what's up?
Hey, Black African Power with that 5G network. So.
Causing world viruses. Oh, yeah. Man. Kyle, man, what's up with you, man? You've been killing pseudos for a minute now, bro. All jokes aside, man. Pseudo Killer on deck. What's good with you, Kyle?
Man, let's do it, man. I'm masked up, ready to ride, bro. Let's do it.
Yeah, ready to ride, masked up. That's right. Mask them up, yo. That's how we mass Avengers around here. You know what it is, man. Hey, CK, the poet. Oh, Pseudo Killer official. What's good, CK?
Peace to the panelists. Peace to the chat.
Peace.
That's all you gotta say?
Hotep.
I don't know what you want me to say. Some other stuff. I mean, I said so much at the beginning, you know.
You good. You good.
That's my bad. I was a little hot.
Don't worry about it. So, okay. So let's do this, man. We want to make sure we got a hell of a presentation too. Kyle, all right, 5G expert with credentials. You know what I'm saying? He gonna lay down the law for us, and he point blank, man, he kicking ass. He ain't playing, he ain't hiding with it, man. I've been knowing the brother for a while, man. What, about 4 years now, bro? How long I been knowing you, bro?
Yeah, it's been a minute, man. I met you at what I think the Malcolm X Festival or the art or the Juneteenth, one of the two, about 4 or 5 years ago, man.
Yeah, that's about
solid.
Yeah, when I met you, you was a Hebrew. I ain't gonna keep bringing that up, but
hey, man, keep bringing, man. Look, hey, let me grow, man. Let me grow.
No, but the reality situation is, and I told him when I met him, that he was definitely one of the most intelligent Hebrews I had ever met. To that point, him and his comrades, and they was really, you know what I'm saying, some of the most intelligent Hebrews with the brother Divine prospect, suspect, right? He's also very intelligent. So I met them, man. They had a real powerful group of young brothers, man. And these dudes was ready. They thought they was gonna slay the God Killer that day. Thought they was. Nope. But anyway, yeah, you growing, bro. You growing leaps and bounds, man. And I just appreciate you being here. And like I said, man, this is one of those times where we need the professionals' voice to step up. And so, you know, you don't like to talk all the time, but I say, man, look, nigga, we're in the middle of a goddamn pandemic, bro. So you tripping. You got to, you know what I'm saying? You got to cut somebody off, man, to get that real information in. Yeah, that's what you got to do. So, yeah, he got a little thing for us to put together so we can go over some slide work here to put them dudes in checkmate. But let me say this. There's a running narrative around here. And that narrative is, if you ask a person a question in the world of divine, in the world of polite, if you hold on, here go Corey. Come on, Corey, we live. Where you at? Where you at?
And Corey awake.
Oh man, you on Facebook? You ain't in Facebook. You got to get with the times, Corey. You got to get on Facebook. Good God Almighty, man, you too old for that, man.
You said he was too old for that.
Lord have mercy, Corey. Concrete Corey ain't got Facebook, boy.
I got.
That's how I keep up with my family, yo.
Yeah, yo, how you gonna keep up with your family, Concrete? The hell?
You gonna send it to him still? You need me to send it to him?
Can you send it to his email? You got his email?
No, I got him on Xbox. I could just send it to him over there.
You say
You on Xbox? You ain't on Facebook.
Yeah, he on Xbox.
No, that's complicated.
That ain't complicated.
Send it to him
Just
in
click the fucking app,
in the
copy the
iMessage.
link,
I
and
got
post it. All he has
Yeah,
to
that's
do is
complicated, man. Don't tell nobody Concrete Corey play Xbox. He does not.
What do you mean? I was just playing with him
No,
2 weeks
he
ago.
don't
You remember
play
all
Xbox.
that
No.
noise I was talking in the chat
No.
about how trash he was and
No.
how I had to carry him?
So he play
remember
Xbox,
that?
but ain't on Facebook. Boy, got your priorities wrong, yo.
Some people don't like Facebook, man.
All right, hold on. Let me get Concrete Corey this, man, so we can get right in here, man. I'm going to throw my little...
Corey, I'm sending it to you right now.
He can't get it. He said it's going to be complicated.
How is that complicated? You don't have the Xbox? Dude,
Might not, man. You know, you're...
app on your phone. Or pull up the browser
Oh,
on your phone.
he said he got it. He got it. You got it?
You got it.
I'm sure you got it. All right.
Y'all be making shit complicated, man. I don't know what y'all got going on.
Hey, man, look, I don't know nothing about that. Shoot, who knew?
We could be trying to go to the kitchen to get some water, be like, oh, well, CK, that requires us to get up. That requires us to dig into the cabinet to get a cup. That's too complicated.
Who knew? All right, hold on, let me get everybody here. Get Uncle Jay up in here. The shit started. Uncle Jay. It's definitely the shit started. I don't care what nobody say. Where you at? Unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted.
Yeah, you're a shit starter. I'm gonna tell you that right now, Uncle Jay.
I know it.
Damn shit starter. You ain't no dumb shit starter though. See, that's the difference. You know what I'm saying? You ain't no dumb guy. So here's my point I want to make before we get into today's activities. There's a running narrative that coming from Divine and pseudos, right? The running narrative is this: that in their world, if they ask you a question, you don't know the answer right then and there, then all of a sudden that makes their information right. There's also a running narrative that everything that they say has to be addressed right then and there, or what they say is right. That's not how it works in the scientific community, and that's not how it works in the rest of the world. We reserve the right to look at all presentations and come back and critique it. See, that's normally how it goes. You give your presentation, and then we'll review it. It's called peer reviewed, Brother Polight and Brother Divine, and that's what we do. As your peers, we are reviewing your work. Plain and simple. And so we're not listening to those rules. We don't play by those rules. Y'all got to understand that this is our block, and it's called the STEM block. We lay down the rules and regulations around here when it comes to that, right? We teach scientific literacy, okay? This is our block. I don't got a problem with you when you selling that pseudoscience over there. But when you bring that pseudoscience on our block, we got to deal with you. We're intellectual gunfighters over here, and this is exactly what we do. We critique hard. Pseudoscience is not wanted over here. We're not going for it. We're not buying it. We're not having it, right? Hey, check this out, Polight. Man, this business, man. This ain't personal. Divine, this business. The business of making sure our people are scientifically literate so they can be ready for moments like these, where you have to be able to understand science and depend on science. That's why we got that block rocking like that. That's why we're not allowing pseudoscience on our block. So if y'all don't want no more heat, no more pressure, stay over there with that. Get out the lane. So I just want to let y'all know, right, that we'll be banging until the cows come home. We're in a pandemic right now, and we need proper information. We need to know where we're getting it from, who we getting it from, you know what I'm saying? What's their level of expertise? What type of website is it? Remember, the web, the internet is full of confirmation bias. You can find anything you want to find. So then how do you know the difference? Well, we teach that over here. How to know a good website from a bad website. How to know misinformation, pseudoscience information, you know what I'm saying, from science information. That's what we do. Okay? So where you at, Khaled? You got your presentation?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and rock on out.
Yeah, rock on out, man. While we get these up, should we crack the joke first, Chevron? Should we stop?
No, we need to wait on that one.
We'll wait on that. Because we got you, Polight. We got you. Oh, we got you. We got you.
Can y'all see my screen, fellas?
Yep.
All right, so I appreciate you for even inviting me to your platform. But today what I want to do is have a little discussion or a little presentation regarding 5G technology, right? And I think this is important because a lot of us in our community don't necessarily even know what 5G is. We see a 5, which is see a G, and we would make these ridiculous assumptions that we know what's going on. But I want to kind of break it down on a macro level and then end up on the micro level with the discussion. Okay. So what we want to do is first we want to define what 5G is. So 5G is the 5th generation of wireless technology. So when you look at the 5G, you see the 5G next to cell phones. That's all that G means. It doesn't mean gigabits, gigahertz, gigawatts, any of those things. It just means this is the 5th generation, which means that technology has advanced 5 times since the first time we had wireless technology, right? Now, 5G is a complete wireless communication with almost no limitations. It can be called the real wireless world because what 5G does is the process of bringing devices together that necessarily would not be connected. The beauty of 5G also is that it has an incredible transmission speed. So it makes a lot of things that we're going to need in the future possible. And I don't have it in my presentation, but this is talking about like in China, they're doing remote surgeries. So you got doctors that may be in Beijing, they're doing surgeries with people that are in Wuhan because the 5G has pretty much 0 latency, which is lag or buffering time. Basically, they can do real-time interactions. And one more thing that I do want to mention before I get into the presentation is that 5G is only a concept and it's not real. And what do I mean by that? I mean that the concept is only the premise where people are supposed to add to and build to. A thought only remains here until someone does something to make it tangible. Now, the next slide I'm gonna skip over because it's a video, but I'm gonna go right into it. So right now what we're doing is, this is the process of merging into 5G. So that's what we're doing right now in 2020.
One question, brother. The
Yes,
video
sir.
with the brother?
Yeah.
Huh?
Is that one now?
Was that the video with the brother on it?
No. That's they took his post down, man. He got deleted off Facebook. So if you want to see that, I can go to Garfield's
Why they do that? Why they did that?
Now, I don't know, man. They took it down though.
Dang.
We'll come back up if it's legit.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. You know what I'm saying? I could probably find it though.
No, go ahead. That's interesting though. Go ahead.
Something that's really important right now, in 2020, which is April, we are in the process of merging to 5G. And so I'm gonna go ahead and refer to my slides at this point in time. So the current 4G cellular technology is being replaced by 5G. However, the goals for the level of connectivity required for 5G networks has been subject to much criticism, which we're getting from our own community right now. However, these requirements were generated in order to support the nearly exponential increase in connected data devices in the coming decades. The current prediction says that, according to Socioeconomic, that 75.4 billion connected devices will be on the network by 2025. And just to kind of give people the information what kind of devices we're talking about computers, we're talking about laptops, tablets, iPhones, we're talking about sensors, we're talking about cameras, we're talking about washers and dryers, all these things that have some type of intelligence. And with devices, when we say the intelligence, we're talking about the ability of those devices to communicate. So that's what intelligence means in the, I guess you would say, the network engineering or this community, right? Now this number includes both Internet of Things, which I'll discuss in a second, and also mobile phones, where short-range IoT devices are expected to surpass the number of mobile phones by 2025. Now, the Internet of Things is what I just mentioned to you guys. The Internet of Things refers to the IoT, which is billions of physical devices around the world that are now going to be sharing the connection to the internet and collecting and sharing data. Now, thanks to the arrival of super cheap computer chips and the obscurity of wireless networks, it's possible to turn anything from something as small as a pill to something as big as an airplane into part of the IoT. Connecting all these different devices and adding sensors to them adds a level of digital intelligence, which I just mentioned, to the devices that would otherwise be dumb devices. Like, for instance, right now, your washer and dryer in your home, they're dumb because they need someone to tell them what to do, right? So, and they enable them to communicate real-time data without having human involvement. So the Internet of Things is making the fabric of the world around us more intelligent, more responsive, and merging and bridging that gap between the digital and physical universes together. So what I have here is kind of like a little chart, right? This is just a chart just to kind of show a reference of what type of items and things kind of bring together that 5G network. So you have the Internet of Things, of course. You have wireless defined networking, network virtualization, device-to-device communication. You have decentralization, radio access techniques. You have big data and compute and cloud computing, also green communications, and also MIMO. MIMO means multiple sources of information going in and multiple sources of information coming out at the same time. And what makes that possible is the millimeter wave band, which is something that we are working toward. We do not have access, nor are we using right now in 2020. So a lot of people have questions. So they say, hey, we got 5G now and we got the coronavirus. So 5G must be the reason why we had the coronavirus. So my question or my response to that is, do we have 5G now? And the answer is simply no. So right now we're building the infrastructure that's necessary for 5G. That's people putting up towers. They're putting up something called small cells. They're doing all these things to build the infrastructure that we would need in the future to have access to this 5G. Additionally, 5G connection requires not only 5G infrastructure, but you got to have a 5G device or a 5G phone to even access that network. This is primarily because 5G works on a slightly different bandwidth than 4G phones. So you have to have a phone with an antenna that's sending and receiving a signal to the 5G towers that allows that connection to even happen. So we have right now we only have two companies that are even producing 5G devices that I'm aware of. Is Huawei and also Samsung. And so if you do a quick little Google search, you'll see that these phones are very, very expensive. You're looking at $1,400, $1,500, $1,600 for a phone just to be on 5G. And 5G right now, necessarily, like I said, it's not necessarily rolled out. It's like more of a upgraded 4G that we have. And I can prove that because if you look at anybody who has a 4G LTE device, LTE is predominantly done by AT&T and T-Mobile because they're the same company basically, and they work out GSM technology. You'll see a 5GE. What the GE means, it means it's 5-generation evolution. So this means that your phone is tapping into a slightly higher bandwidth and frequency. It's not 5G, but it's faster than most people that have, I guess, a lesser quality device. And that's really all that means. So with 5G, I kind of gave a little demonstration here on this slide. On the top and bottom, we got cut off a little bit because I was trying to make everything fit into the presentation. But it shows the progression. In the initial progression on this, which is the very top slide, you see what we had when we were a 3G network, right? So it was very, very straightforward. It was just uniform capacity and coverage, and we had very, very limited potential to send data. This is why when you're older phones, you don't really have any apps on, well, you don't have any apps on there. Your internet was pretty much slow, you know what I'm saying? You can get on there, but it take you a while, but it's not like what 4G did. So the next layer is the more dense macro layer when we added more towers, with more towers, it increases the bandwidth. The bandwidth is basically the ability for you to send and receive data on a particular network, right? So, and with this, what was introduced was applications, because we have the ability to send and receive more data, so you can send and receive and do more things with your devices. Now, with the 5G, we add an additional low power nodes, what we call small cells, we have listed in the red towers there. This is what you'll see around town. So when you're around town with the 5G nodes, they have very, very limited capability as far as their range. Typically, these things, they vary from 200 to 250 yards, which is right under about 1,000 feet, right? So each of these things do something which is called a handoff method. So it's got to have a lot of these nodes and these small cells around town, because they don't have an extended footprint for where they can broadcast their actual signal. The thing is about that is they can broadcast a higher bandwidth and a higher frequency. That means that more data can be transmitted simultaneously. You get more information going out, more information coming in at the same time. So people that are inside of their footprint get a much faster data transfer rate, and it allows us to do things like remote surgeries. It allows you to do things like more detailed monitoring, more detailed security. So now you have access to something that's going to be happening on more of a real-time situation, because it kind of it removes the lag or the latency from the network. This is the next slide, just a visualization of what 5G looks like based on what I was describing compared to what 4G is. On the top right side, you'll see a 4G tower, and a lot of these 4G towers are being currently updated to become 5G towers. And if you see those things at the top, those are the distribution points, right? I'm not sure if y'all can see my mouse, hopefully y'all can, but that's where the signal gets sent from. With 4G signal, the signal is a wider signal. It can go farther. It has a wider, I guess, spectrum that you would say. So it's less direct, right? So with 5G, excuse me, it's a more direct signal, but it's concentrated in a smaller area. This is the reason why you see you see more of these smaller towers. And so the question is, what are 5G small cells? A small cell is a small cell in a 5G network, is a base station that serves a critical role in the overall network. They're called small cells as opposed to macro cells used in 4G networks, because they're relatively smaller in size, and it has a smaller imprint on what they're broadcasting to. So you go from something that can broadcast over 3 or 4 miles to something that can only broadcast over, like I was saying earlier, about 1,000 feet or 200 to 250 yards. So there's a huge difference. So you need a lot more of these smaller cells to do the exact same job as the larger towers would do. Now, inside the small cells is a radio equipment necessary for transmitting data to and from connected devices. These antennas within the small cells are highly directional and use what is called beamforming to direct attention to very specific areas around the tower. Another reason 5G towers have to be installed so frequently in busy areas is for the fact that small cells support super fast speeds, and it has to have direct line of sight with the receiving device, like a smartphone or a home phone. The same principle applies like if you have Wi-Fi in your home right now. Once you get outside of your home, you may get to the street or the stop sign, you no longer have connectivity to your smartphone or your tablet devices because you're out of range. This is the same thing that these small cells do. They emit something very, very similar to your Wi-Fi that you have in your home already. So the question is now, because a lot of people are kind of afraid of 5G, let's deal with what frequency we are using with 5G, right? So this is a global snapshot of the 5G spectrum. This is as of, I believe it was February, it was like the second week of February 2020. So as you can see, you have different technologies that's listed, you have different countries that are listed, and it shows what broadcast frequency they're on. On the presentation, as you can see here with the arrow, it shows what we are currently broadcasting in. Now that is very, very important with these pseudos, because the pseudos do not tell you this. They don't tell you that we're broadcasting the average of 2.5 gigahertz. Now, most towers that I'm aware of only broadcasting 2.4, but I have come in contact with some towers in different areas that broadcast in 2.6 gigahertz. So that gives us an average of 2.5, right? Also, it denotes here what the spectrum licensing denotes, right? So with 5G, you can't just pop up a tower and broadcast a signal. You have to be licensed by a certain entity or government body to do so. And it shows what we have licenses to do and what we do not have licenses to do. And as you can see, based on the spectrum, the highest licensing spectrum that we have access to is the 47.2 to the 48.2 gigahertz spectrum. That means that there's nothing that's being broadcasted outside of that, as y'all can see here. And as you can see here, the unlicensed spectrum, anything 64 through 71, that's in here, that's in Canada. And a lot of these other countries are not even entertaining that idea because they actually stopping at 27. Well, we in America, you know, we want faster because we have more people, and it makes complete sense when you take an analytical look at the population of America, right? But again, this is the existing band. This is in 2020. The existing band that we're using is 2.5 gigahertz, nothing higher than that. This is just a reference to the 5G spectrum, and it tells about the capability of the different bandwidths and their range. So anything that's less than 1 gigahertz is good for standard internet connectivity. This is already partly used for MP generation, longer range coverage, and is less costly to build the infrastructure because you can broadcast farther, thus you need fewer towers. Right now, we're broadcasting in 2.5, with a 2.4 to 2.6, which is 2.5. We're in the 1 to the 6 gigahertz range. This is ideal for internet coverage, the Internet of Things, which I brought up earlier, and it has the capacity for data transfer on higher levels. So with this, you have more spectrum available. The thing about that is shorter range and reduced performance compared to a higher frequency. So if you're comparing what we have now based on what's going to be used in 5G when it fully rolls out, it's nowhere near the full capacity, but it does do what is necessary until everybody starts rolling into it. Now, the expected rollout date for 5G, not the towers being built, but people being in 5G, is 2025. And I stress that 2025 is when things may start to kick up a little bit as far as the gigahertz. That's solely because we do not have enough people on it to require us to enhance or to change the frequency range. Now, anything greater than 6 gigahertz, this is the capacity for very, very high data transfer. That means that you can do live HD streaming. You can do short. This is going to be something that's going to be short range, and it allows for high-speed data transfer and short latency times. Latency times is the time that it takes from your data to go from your device to all these different routing ports, to all these different base stations to get to the receiving device. And right now it's under, I think it was like a millisecond at this point in time. So with that being said, we can do pretty much real-time transactions. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about their surgeries that are being performed by using this 5G technology in some instances, and they're testing it out, of course, but they're able to do real-time surgeries. Hospitals are using this in China, where they actually are sitting in Beijing. They're able to get a patient that's in Wuhan. They can analyze their reports real time while the patient is still in the office. And now you have someone who's an expert in that field, and you don't have to go visit your expert. The expert only has to log into their computer and see real time what's going on. Now, the next thing that we do want to talk about is something that's very, very key because people bring up radiation all the time. And so we got to ask ourselves, where does 5G fit into the electromagnetic spectrum? So there's two types of radiation, as you guys can see. You have non-ionizing radiation, and then you also have ionizing radiation. The difference in the two is on the next slide, but I'll give you guys a breakdown. Non-ionizing radiation does not do cellular damage. Ionizing radiation has the potential to do cellular damage. On the non-ionizing scope, we see things like radio waves, the same waves that we send from mobile phones, and also microwaves. When you get into visible light, that's when you kind of start to see the difference and start to see where it can become harmful. So if you can't even see the waves, it's not going to be harmful based on this, right? So you're dealing with ultraviolet rays, X-rays, and also gamma rays, which is that higher frequency. The frequency is only the amount of times data is sent within a short period of time. And all these things, the data is always sent at, I guess, the speed of light, what you want to call it, right? But it's based on how many times within the speed of light, or in that band, which is called a millimeter band, that the data is sent. So as you can see with 5G, it's nowhere even close to the ionizing radiation band. So it should not prevent any problems if we use it in perspective with the constraints that are given to us. Now, this is just a little bit of information about the non-ionizing radiation. Non-ionizing radiation is relatively low energy radiation that does not have enough energy to ionize atoms or molecules. It is located at the low end of the electromagnetic spectrum. Non-ionizing radiation sources include power lines, microwaves, radio waves, infrared radiation on some lower levels, visible lights, and lasers. Although considered less dangerous than ionizing radiation, overexposure to non-ionizing radiation can cause health issues on higher levels. And what I did in that first slide, I showed you the levels that we're using, and what we're going to do is need to discuss what levels are harmful. And I think that's something that a lot of people who are going out here doing their little presentations on different platforms, they're not determining there's a difference in the spectrum. They just see radiation, and they see presentations about 80 gigahertz, 100 gigahertz, but they're not taking in consideration that we're using 2.4 gigahertz. After that, it'll be, I think it was 5.7. After that, it'll be 25. After that, it'll be 37 to 42. And that's not taken in consideration because we're not even using the stuff that even could potentially be harmful. Now, the next question is, dang, I misspelled this. So who determines these standards? I don't know how I got if these standards, but who determines these standards, right? And so what we have to do is, like anything else, we have the FDA, they determine the standards for Food and Drug Administration. And what we have is a global community. It's called ICNIRP. ICNIRP is an acronym that stands for the International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection. It is a body of independent scientific experts consisting of a main commission of 14 members. 4 of them are scientific committees covering epidemiology, biology, Dimetry, optical radiation, and some consulting experts, right? So you have people who this is their exact field of study. These people are doctors, these people are professionals in their field, and what they do for a living is they analyze all the reports from all these different agencies, all these different countries, and they figure out, based on that, what is safe for human consumption, right? So ICNIRP actually is the governing body that actually goes over and precedes over the World Health Organization. This is a direct excerpt from their website. It says that a number of national and international organizations have formulated guidelines establishing limits for occupational and residential EMF exposure. The exposure limits for EMF fields developed by the International Commission of Non-Ionizing Radiation and Protection, a non-governmental organization formally recognized by the WHO, were developed following reviews of the peer-reviewed scientific literature, including the thermal and non-thermal effects. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. Y'all can keep on reading for yourself. This slideshow is there. I also will post it in the chat for anybody who wants to read it in detail. Also, the links and everything will be in the references for y'all to check out. Now, also, you also have the IEEE, The IEEE is the International Electronic Engineering. Excuse me, it's the Electronic and Electrical Engineering Academy. And then you have the FCC, which also follows their guidelines. So the safety guidelines for limiting exposure to the low frequency, which is LF, electromagnetic fields, have been issued by the International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, which is ICNIRP, which we just mentioned. So it's showing that every country is following the ICNIRP guidelines, and they have done thousands and thousands, they've done thousands of reports. They read the report, they review these things, and what they do is bring forth the protocol for us to follow. So based on their reports, it says that another general characteristic of RF EMFs is that the higher the frequency, the lower the depth of penetration of the EMFs into the body. As 5G technologies can utilize higher EMF frequencies greater than 24 gigahertz, in addition to those currently used, which is less than 4 gigahertz, power from those higher frequencies will be primarily absorbed more superficially than that from previous mobile telecommunication technologies. However, although the proportion of power that it absorbs superficially as opposed to deeper in the body is larger for the higher frequency, the ICNIRP restrictions have been set to ensure that the resulting peak spatial power will remain far lower than that required to adversely affect health. Accordingly, 5G exposures will not cause any harm, providing that they adhere to the ICNIRP 2020 guidelines, which dropped in February. So this is what this is telling us, is that we have reviewed this thing on a higher level. The ICNIRP guidelines come out every 10 years. So they spent 10 years reviewing this and reviewing materials dealing with non-ionizing radiation. And the conclusion that they drawn was this is safe as long as certain boundaries are followed, right? We are well below these boundaries. And what the problem that I personally see is that people that are making these claims that RF signals is dangerous, they're not necessarily specifying where the RF frequencies that they're testing is in the spectrum. So for a person to say that millimeter wave band is dangerous, millimeter wave band is from 30 gigahertz all the way up to 300 gigahertz. We're not licensed to do anything, like I showed you, above 48 gigahertz. So we don't have any, so when they're doing these reports, they're showing you 85, they're showing you 90, they're showing you 100 gigahertz worth of usage, but we're not licensed to use that. So it kind of kills their whole presentation. Now, another thing they do, they show you different reports, and they take in consideration, well, they don't take in consideration that these reports are based off of cellular damage that's done to these lab tests on things that do not have skin. So they're testing just plain out cells, and they're not taking into consideration that we have skin that protects us, that absorbs any type of surface level radiation. And that's a huge flaw. And so, like, my conclusion to what I'm bringing forward is just calm down, check the facts, wash your hands, social distance, and cover your damn face. The references of what I've used are listed here. I got
shoot them to me so I can throw them in the chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna I'll send you the whole presentation. So you got the FCC, you got the IEEE, you got ICNIRP. It's a presentation by, well, not presentation, it's a paper done by the ICNIRP that was done every, like I said, 10 years. They did their breakdown, they did their genetic studies, their biological studies, they did their studies on radiation, the amount of radiation, and they determined that in the report. It's a 34-page paper that I have listed here. You have the you have the U.S. Cancer Society. They say that radiation exposure does not cause any damage whatsoever. And then I had posted the Facebook link. That's why it's in black, because the link went dead because the person's page got taken down. But yeah, I mean, that's my presentation. I mean, you know.
Let me get, hold on. Man, that was a great goddamn presentation, man. I appreciate you, brother. And And what you have a degree in this subject? Am I right or wrong on that? Did you give
Yeah,
out your credentials?
Yeah, network engineering.
So there you go. The brother studied in this. Let me say hi to Dr. Oya Mayat. Let me introduce you in here. Pseudo killer on deck. Where you at, Doc? Unmute yourself.
Hey, don't beat me up, doctor. You know how professors come in, they beat you up.
Hey, no. I come in peace. I come in peace. And brother Unc,
I say.
Hey, brother Unc, you know me like a book. How did you know my mic was on mute? I was steady talking, right?
I know
And
you were.
you said put the mic, take your mic off mute. And that's exactly what I did. But brother, you gave a beautiful presentation. And even based on your presentation, I knew that you had credentials. I knew it. I looked at the style of your presentation, and I was looking at all your slides, and I vetted as much as I could, when I came in. And when you mentioned IEEE, I said, oh yeah. I said, this brother is definitely a study brother and definitely has some credentials. I actually published a few papers with IEEE. And so, I'm very familiar with the platform. And that's to everyone who says, well, she is a doctor, she published. You go to IEEE, you can type in my legal name, my given name, and 2 papers will pop up. I published a paper with them in 2010, and I also published a paper with them in 2013. And so anyway, brother, you gave a wonderful presentation, great information. All of those who are under the sound of my voice, please share this brother's presentation, because we have to combat the misinformation that's out there. It's a lot of misinformation that's out there, and misinformation is endangering our community. We can only make informed decisions, or good, informed decisions, when we are good decisions. I'm sorry, when we are informed with proper knowledge, and that's what you gave today, brother. So I want to say kudos to you, salute to you, brother. Keep on rocking out.
I appreciate that. Means more than words. Thank you very much.
Let me get Concrete Corey in here real quick. Concrete Corey, pseudo killer on deck. What's good, brother?
Oh, peace to the panel. Peace to everybody in the chat. Peace to everybody viewing, all the YouTube viewers. I appreciate that presentation, brother. That was very, very well put together. Very understandable.
Yeah, simple.
And it cleared a lot of things up. So I really appreciate that. And
we'll keep it rolling. We'll keep it rolling. I got something that's funny right here. So why? Let me ask you this. So they actually have a regulatory commission that's been looking at this thing for 10 years, long term, 10 years, right? And so all the nonsense that everybody is talking about couldn't even happen because you're not even licensed to go to the levels. That's crazy to me right there. So this whole thing can be handled by reading the regulations and what licenses. So you say you use what, 48 gigabytes? That's what you said? What did you say?
But that's the highest license, I guess you say, spectrum that's able to be used. It's not being used now. It's not estimated to be used until, I think, 2035.
2025.
Well, 2025 is when we estimate that the 5G will be rolling out, that everybody will be using it, but we're not going to be at that. Well, we don't anticipate being at that peak level at that point in time, because basically how it works is the more devices that you have on a frequency or a bandwidth, the more frequency that you need, more bandwidth you're going to need, right? So, and I'm trying to talk so people can understand what I'm saying. So,
give them the polite, yo. Go ahead, give them the polite thing. Go ahead, hit that.
All right.
He knows something.
Yeah. So now we using to ask the brother to kind of clarify a little bit. We using like 1 to 2 gigahertz right now, right? On the 4G level.
Well, yeah, on the 4G level, we're using around from 800 to about 1 gigahertz. But if you got a 5G phone right now, currently, like I was saying, they're using it's called 5GE. It's the 5G evolution. Basically, they're evolving and kind of moving things to that area, so that if you have a 5G phone, you're in a free area where you're the only person in that area, right? And to make this make sense, it's the same thing. Like if you turn in your Wi-Fi at home, if you're home alone and you're watching an HD movie or a 4K movie by yourself, you're gonna have less latency, which is less buffering time than if you were to do it when you got your kids upstairs playing Xbox or PS4. You got people streaming, because it slows down the network because you have multiple different people on your different devices connected to your network, all using the same frequency, and that kind of slows it down over a period of time. This same principle goes when you go into cell phone technology. If you got a network that's set up for 1,000 people, and now you got 3,000 different devices on there, the network's going to eventually slow down. So the things that you're trying to do may not be as effective as if they would if you bump to a higher frequency, because the higher frequency means that you're sending more information faster. So it goes to like a beat, right? You got like, like you're dealing with beat like 808s, right? Like you got if you catch the beat, which is I don't know, doof 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 doof. So that's the beat that you're rocking with. That means that the beat happens every few milliseconds, right? Mm-hmm. And what 5G does, it actually increases the frequency of the beat dropping. So the beat turns to doof 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 doof. So now you're sending that information faster, and you're receiving information faster, so you can download and upload faster, so you can send information at more of a real-time communication between those two devices.
It's awesome. Yeah, yo, I'm gonna say this like you probably don't know, but you cleared so much stuff up.
Yes, we did.
We got a weapon now. You feel me? Like, because you gave us a weapon to fight the 5G conspiracy. We not even using 5G yet. So what are they even talking about? Like, how did they? Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean?
Hey, brother Sheffrin, I want to add to what you said, brother. He killed them when he put up the diagram showing the electromagnetic spectrum. You know, so when he showed that and showed, ionizing radiation versus non-ionizing radiation and the different frequencies for the different devices, I mean, that was a killer right there. Just that one diagram. It's like, so what are we talking about here? Mm-hmm. What are we talking about, really?
Yeah, facts. He said it don't even reach the level of visual, so it can't even harm us.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
we're not even in the same spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the argument? So I feel like when Kyle, I hope I'm pronouncing the brother's name correctly. But when he put up that slide, I said that kills the conversation right there. We're not even in the same spectrum. So what are we talking about here? And another. Go ahead, brother.
All right, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead, Bill.
Oh, I kind of stressed that point. I was trying to stress that point to him before on Sonetta, where he was talking about how the non-ionizing and the ionizing radiation was like on the same spectrum. It's like, dude, this is something way totally different.
You got that clip? This the replay, baby. We got that clip?
I'm sure we can get that. I'm sure we can get the clip.
Yeah, get the clip, brother Corey, and play that.
Replay, baby.
And play that back. I got another clip I want you all to play tonight, because I just got finished arguing with the Peanut Gallery on Sinetta's platform.
Oh, that's just crazy, Doc. Hold on, Doc. I want to play for years. Hold on, I gotta say it, Doc. For years, I'd be like, Doc, stay out the Peanut Gallery. I was like, they don't understand. Listen,
them niggas frustrating.
Intelligent chat. But you go over there, you got people, first grade students over there, ain't finished school. Some have, some haven't, some spooked out, you know what I'm saying? And that's not really taken away from everybody. It's
right.
Different levels there, you know what I'm saying?
No,
it's a like you. Let me show you something right here, Doc. Let me put this on. Let me put this up for y'all real quick. Let me show you why the doctor. That's love that you would actually even argue, or even have a that's kind of love right there. Let me show you something right here. Come on now. Y'all see that, right? Explain what that is, Doc.
Hold on, let me see what you put up. You put up my public. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's it. What's that? The brother mentioned that.
Enlarge it for me just a little bit, Ankh, so I can see it. Oh no, that's something else. Okay, right there, I can see it. Okay, so in the brother's presentation, he mentioned IEEE, and when I first got on the platform, I said I published 2 papers in IEEE in 2010 and 2013. In 2010, I published a paper entitled rank aggregation of dispersion measure orderings for estimated Gaussian mixture model language recognition performance. I published that, and you see that I'm first author on the paper. And both of my advisors, and when you are an advisee, you add your advisors' names to your paper as a courtesy when you're matriculating through a PhD program. And so I'm first author, and both of my advisors are, they're second and third authors. M.A. Cola, Marianne Cola, she works for the Department of Defense. She's still there. She's getting ready to retire. And Dr. Arlene Cole Rose, she's a tenured full professor at Morgan State University. So I published that paper with them in 2010. And then I also published another paper in 2013 entitled Using an Ordinal Ranking Rule to Find the Top Performing Gaussian Mixture Models for Language Recognition. And I published that at the 47th Annual Conference on Information Sciences and Systems. And so I have about 4 publications under my belt. I also published another paper with the International Conference for Image and Signal Processing. I did that in, I believe that was like 2012 or something like that. And then I have my dissertation, which is published, and I'm getting ready to publish another paper with the American Society for Engineering Education this year. And so I'm I've been doing my little thing. I don't like rambling. I don't like doing that. So take it off the screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it off. I just want, you can't argue, like, come on. They gotta pay for that. Some people gotta pay for that butt whipping.
Yeah, but it was fun though. It was fun though. I ain't gonna lie. I had fun. I called into the show, and I'm gonna go in on Sunday and play the clip back, or we could play the clip back now if you want. But I got Sonnet brought on the brother Curtis Koss and Jabari, and Curtis Koss brought a female on. Her name was Daphne. And so she started talking about how electromagnetic radiation is harmful and, and all of this. And so I called in and I asked her a question. And Kayel, I know that you could appreciate this. I asked her, I said, well, okay, you said electromagnetic radiation is harmful. Can you explain to the listening audience how electromagnetic radiation is measured, right? So in order to determine whether or not it's harmful, you have to understand how it's measured. So she said, well, it's measured in power. And then she started rambling, right? And the rambling didn't make any sense. And I said, well, I give you that. I can give you power. But I said, what are the other variables? And so I said, well, I'll direct that to Curtis, because obviously the sister didn't know. Well, I don't want to call her the sister, but Daphne didn't know what she was talking about. So I said, well, Curtis, can you explain, or, the additional variables that we use to express electromagnetic radiation? And Curtis couldn't do it. And so then she wanted to become argumentative. So I just got off the platform, Ankh, at that point. I said what it is. I told the listening audience that we express it using energy. We can express it in energy, wavelength, and frequency. Typically, that's how it's expressed. And so, when I got off the phone, she said that I was wrong. And so what I did was I just sent them I Googled it real fast, and NASA supports what I said. And so I went back into the chat room and I'm like, here's the link. And this is exactly what I said. And then they start, oh, you were wrong, Dr. Ma'at. And that's when I realized you can't argue with stupid, And so I just got out of there and came on this platform.
Yeah, you can't argue with stupid. You can't argue with Kayel and them. You can't argue. And these are the type of shows we're going to continue to bring. That damn replay ain't no joke right there. So, we got some documents here. We got the document of licensing, right, which is very important. And I think that's the key. For me, that's the, when you called me up with that, I was like, man, what? And then you kicked it, right? I was like, you want me to remember all that? I was like, man, you the professional. I said, you're a funny dude.
But I don't like talking publicly, man. This ain't my thing, man.
Whatever, man. You did. Hey, well, I'm glad you got it. Well, this is about your second time or third time doing this, right? Presentation, right?
Y'all been forcing me to do this stuff, man. I don't like doing it.
No, you good. Nah, yo, you way more comfortable than you think you are. Like you spot on that. I learned something right there. And it takes me a while to, digest information. I like, I like to read stuff, highlight it, look it up. But that right there, a dummy could get that. You remember I was like, yo, make it so they can, you know, get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm saying I got it, but I got the regulations. Something that these quote unquote Mr. Divine Prospect, these supplements that you're actually promoting out there, they don't have these kind of regulations, bro. Very limited regulations when it comes to those quote unquote organic supplements, y'all. I want y'all to know that. You know, people won't tell you this. That stuff that Polight been pushing, you know what I'm saying, and all that nonsense, no regulations like that. And so this brother spoke of regulations. These are very important, meaning they're not even allowed to produce something that could hurt you. Remember he said he did the test on cells without skin, remember that? That's important to understand that right there. So skin actually breaks down based off of the melanocytes. Y'all should know what that is. It actually slows down radiation. That's what the melanin is for on a sun planet.
Just to add what you're saying, so like when you deal with radiation, the higher the frequency of radiation, the more it's absorbed by external layers, right? So like for instance, 4G or 3G would be more penetrating than 5G would because it's a higher frequency. That means that your skin would absorb it. So like when you're dealing with skin cancer, skin cancer happens because you get exposed to high levels of UV radiation. And so it's absorbed by your skin, it produces anomalies, and now you develop skin cancer. But with 3 and 4G, they would pass right through and they would be able to affect something on the internal level. So with 5G, it would be absorbed by your skin. So you would not necessarily see a respiratory dysfunction or disorder. You would see skin cancer come up. So like, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I'm saying that if anything was to happen, it would be on an external level rather than an internal level. It wouldn't cause you to stop breathing. It may cause your skin to peel. And I don't know anybody whose skin's peeling. So I can't say that anybody is being affected on the internal level because that's what the entire intention of having a higher frequency is supposed to do.
Yeah, basically you saying it would attack, it would cause harm to the organ that it penetrates, like the skin. It wouldn't attack your lungs. You know what I mean? Like the radiation would it comes in contact with your skin first, so it would cause a skin cancer, not a viral infection to your lungs. They don't even make sense. But I think Corey was saying that on Sinetta before. He tried to explain that to him, but you know, and Jabari tried to do something with that, but I guess it went over their heads.
Yeah, you know, we're gonna have that situation on the replay again. That's
what you're gonna have every single time when you have the uninformed making decisions based on what the informed are telling you. You know, like it would be ridiculous for me as a freshman in college at Morgan State to be in a class with Dr. Meyer and saying, I disagree. Like I don't have the merit to disagree. I don't have enough knowledge about the subject to disagree. And that's what we see on these social media or these platforms, that people who have no academic research, no studies on these things, only because the masses of the uneducated are disagreeing, somehow it has been portrayed that they are right. But the thing is, like when you go to college, the majority of the people do not specify in a field. So like if you go to any college in the world, it may be 60,000 students. Out of those 60,000, 4,000 may be biology majors. So that means that you got 56,000 people who don't know anything on a functional level about biology. And then you got to zero down. You got people who deal with microbiology, you do people who deal with electron biology, whatever those different fields are. And so now it zeroes down, it gets more and more concentrated. And so the people who are going to be the people who bring forth the correct information are going to be the smaller demographic. That's a natural process. You know, like you deal with evolution. This is evolution of intelligence. So people don't always know the same thing. People don't evolve the same way. It's the survival of the fittest. And the people who go into these fields, put the time and the effort into studying, these are the minority. The minority is what evolves. The majority is what stays the same.
Hey, Corey, any more questions? I know you got some questions. Or you looking for that clip?
And Corey probably
Uh,
still looking. Oh, go ahead, Corey. I was getting ready to cover you, brother.
Corey on Xbox.
I got that clip. The clip is out.
Better not be on Xbox. You and CK better not be playing.
Hold up now. Don't come for me, Unc. I got a question though.
All right, go ahead.
I was gonna ask Kyle, who would be people that you would think that would be good to speak on the subject of 5G, so far as trying to teach it and explain it to people in depth. So far as like what degrees would they need to have, or what fields would they need to work in for you to be like, okay, that person is credible, versus a grocery store clerk trying to make it seem like they're an expert on 5G.
Okay, so honestly, just being real, I don't feel like I even should be speaking on this. I think we should have just like Dr. Ma'at speaking on this, because that's what she does. The fact that she's a doctor, that means that she has added something to this field. So anything that I'm providing to you, information that I learned in college, and I haven't brought anything to the field, so I'm just regurgitating. But this sister, this queen, has brought something to the field to advance the field forward. And I think it's a grave injustice for her not to be the focal point of the 5G discussion, because that's what the fuck she does. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a student, you know what I'm saying? Like, as a bachelor, that means that I am able to go and do this on my own. I'm not going to be a person that's going to be inventing things. I'm not going to be the person who has a master's level of it. I'm just a person that you say, hey, connect these switches and routers, make them work, set up this, an OSI protocol, and do it. And I can do that. But this queen right here is a person she's perfected the information. And I think that I take a step back to her, because I understand the process of information and knowledge. And I respect that about her, that she went through that process. She has papers, as we just saw. And like, I'm not the person to go to. I'm a person, I can help people who may not have any knowledge about it. But if we looking to do the details, the intricate details about what this profession is, what frequencies are, how they interact with the human body, I'm in the back seat. I'm just along for the ride. I'm listening to her.
Where you at, Doc?
Well, no, I was getting ready to say I had to unmute my mic while he was speaking. So brother, I just I appreciate your words, and and your understanding of your understanding and respect for the process. But I think you're more than qualified to speak on it. You've matriculated through the process. You got your bachelor's in network engineering. And so I think you're more than qualified to speak on what 5G is and what 5G isn't. I think you're more than qualified. But to answer the sister's question, I think that we should be talking to people like Brother Kyle, network engineers, electrical engineers, and also speak with some biologists, some physicists, people like that. You got some folks who are trying to have this conversation and they couldn't even explain to you what a signal is. I'm on, you had Curtis Carson, a lawyer, on there tonight. She's a lawyer, Kyle. This woman was a lawyer. And when I asked her, how do we measure electromagnetic radiation? She said through power. And I said, well, I'll give her power because we can express it in terms of energy. And we know that we can use energy to derive power. So I'll give her power. But wait a minute, Kyle. The woman also said using modulation. And I said, what? Does she even understand what modulation is? And so then I said, let me get off this phone. I started fussing and I said, let me get off this phone. But she said power and modulation, Kyle. And so you got people that are just throwing out these terms. They really don't understand the definitions of these things. They don't understand what frequency is. How do you compute frequency? How do we go from the time domain to the frequency domain? How do we measure electromagnetic radiation? How do we determine the direction of the propagation of radiation? Using things like the Poynting vector. Like, they don't understand these things, but yet they want to engage, or not even engage, but present themselves as authority figures. That's what kills me. They want to present themselves as authority figures on the matter. Now, I said in the chat room plenty of times that anybody can have a conversation. We can all have a conversation, but it's a whole nother thing when you present yourself as an expert on the or an expert in the conversation. That's the issue that I have. I don't have an issue with people having discussion, but I do have an issue with people presenting themselves as experts and running around the community circulating misinformation. That's the issue that I have.
Mm-hmm.
I agree 1,000%.
Mm-hmm. By the way, let's take a look at this expert right here. Let's evaluate this statement. Where's that at, Brother Sheffrin? Where's that? Roll that beautiful being footage. Where's that clip at? Uncle Jay, did you have a question? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, Uncle Jay don't fell asleep on you, man.
He ain't fell no damn sleep. Come on, man.
Hey, Unc,
Yeah, I'm
I'll
here.
let you know, you might want to be careful because, like I said, I've been reading articles today that YouTube and Facebook, they starting to snatch up people, not only their live streams, but anything that they're posting like on Facebook as well that's misinformation on 5G or the coronavirus.
But
So
why
I would
need
be
to be
careful.
we ain't put no misinformation.
That doesn't
Yeah.
matter. If you playing something from Sarnetter, yeah, even though that's not what this live stream is about, promoting that, but just the fact that we're
I got
playing
you.
it, that could get your joint taken down.
I got you.
So I would just play the audio. I wouldn't show the screen.
No, we straight. Uncle Jay, you got a question real quick?
No, not at all. Except not a question at all. But I think the last time that came up, I was saying that there was certain companies in the United States that were saying they were toting 5G on their phones. It's on the phones, but when I say on their phones, I mean it's written 5G. But I knew the 5G wasn't here. But they're saying now that, well, I read something that AT&T, T-Mobile have 5G, but it's not everywhere. Well, you gotta start somewhere. I understand that, but you're not going to tell me that's why they went after the Chinese company that was that was researching 5G, the Huawei or whatever it is. That was all about 5G. United States wanted to get 5G before anybody else. That was it. But I knew there was no 5G in the United States.
Well, can I answer your question, bro? If you don't
It's on the phone. It's just on their phones that they sell. I think it's T-Mobile or AT&T.
Well, T-Mobile and AT&T both use GSM technology, right? So they're basically on the same spectrum. They're really the same company, right? And
Right,
so
they're right.
if you look at that phone, it says 5GE. And I kind of touched on this in the presentation. I'm not sure if you missed it or not, but
No, I saw that. I heard what you said. But I'm saying, but a consumer, when they see 5G, they thinking they got a 5G phone, and that wasn't, and they didn't make it that they didn't make an effort to say, no, we really don't have 5G, but we're going to use it. We're going to use 5G. We're going to print it on the phone, even though we know that we don't have 5G. So even though it says 5GE, I'm thinking the basic consumer would think they had 5G. Even though, like the gentleman said, even though the people didn't know what 5G was, they just know it was a bigger number than 4G. So it must be good.
I'm in total agreement with you, and I think that's very, very misleading of the telecommunications company to do to people. The thing is, that's not necessarily that bad because they're not requiring you to get a new device. But to kind of hone into your point about the highway, whatever how you pronounce that. The reason why they're so much part of the discussion is because with 5G devices, any devices electronically, you have something called the core system, right? Or the core program, right? This is the base. This is the base of the entire system. And so this Chinese company, that's China is a communist nation, right? So anything that happens in communism belongs to the state, right? And so America and the EU is afraid that if they all get connected to this Chinese network, that the Chinese would have access to accessing their data to find out where they are, what they send in text messages, their emails, all this stuff. And that's a very, very valid concern. It's actually a concern of mine as well, because when you're dealing with data and this 5G network, it kind of intrudes into personal privacy. So what we need to do as American citizens, first of all, we need to inform ourselves of what 5G is so that we'll know what we need to protect ourselves against. And for me, privacy is the only issue that I've seen with 5G because 5G is very, very intrusive. Your washer, your dryer, your microwave, your cell phone, your watch, if you go buy a pack of cigarettes at the store, all that's going to be part of that network. It's going to be biometric readers and sensors, different actuators, all kinds of different things that are working together that are sending information to a collective database or network that's going to be analyzing, sending information back, and all this happens instantaneously. So if you walk into a building and you have a warrant for your arrest, it's going to alert the police that someone's in the building.
Oh,
Right.
man.
Right.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what they're doing in China right now. And actually, everything that's bad is good at the same time. Like everything that's positive has a negative effect to it, right? Now, one of the main reasons why China was able to even stop the coronavirus spread is because they implemented their 5G technology in their applications, right? And what they did was they implemented a system, where they were doing, I guess, forehead scans or cranial scans to determine if people had elevated temperatures. If you have an elevated temperature, now all of a sudden you have been flagged, and now they're able to trace where you go. So if from now you go into a coffee shop and purchase a cup of coffee, now this coffee shop know that someone who potentially has 5G has been in this establishment, so they instantly shut down, sanitize the environment, and then that person gets sent to quarantine, the whole nine. And so like it's a touchy area, and it deals with more now. We're dealing with information security and confidentiality. And that's the problem that I mostly see with 5G. And the thing is, if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. And the most people who have an issue with that breach of their privacy, because we already breached our privacy with Facebook. When you sign up for Facebook Messenger, you have to allow them to listen to your microphone at all times. All times, all this, right? The only difference is now this information is being able to be used to process transactions, to process transactional business, to process how you live in their life. I was listening to a story that a guy left his iPad in the car. This guy worked for the Chinese, the government. He did something, I forgot what it was exactly. But when he got back to his office, he realized his iPad was in his car. He contacted the corporate security. They were able to locate where his iPad was. They knew the car that the iPad was in. They knew his driver's name, and they called the driver on his cell phone and said, "Hey, bring this iPad here," and gave him the address all within 3 minutes. That's the level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so
I mean, it's there. It's there. I think Facebook is probably the biggest surveillance tool that the United States have. I mean, people give up. People were trying to figure out information, and it was like, no, that's private information. I'm not going to tell you nothing. They got on Facebook and told everybody everything. Told them when they're going on vacation. Told them when they're going to dinner. They come back home, their house broke into. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know, because they really didn't understand. They don't understand how Facebook came about. And Facebook came about in such a way that it was a way of asking for information. They're not gonna coerce the information out of you because you're gonna give it free. And you're gonna tell who your neighbors are, you're gonna tell who your relatives are, you're gonna tell everything. That's the whole point of it. So I understand why the gentleman doesn't want to be on Facebook. Once you're on there, there's no sense trying to get off because you're stuck. You know what I mean? But if you haven't been on there and if you watch, you know, what you're doing, you're not gonna, basically everything you say or do is gonna be recorded somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has to understand that, you know. And so once you get like just like I said before about a lie that's told nicely, you're gonna believe or whatever, something to that degree. You know what I mean? It's the same thing that's happening now, but it's happening on a mass scale. What we're getting fed, I don't think a lot of it is really what we need to hear. When they was talking about the hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine, they've been doing that for like 2 months.
Hold on, Jay. We're gonna get to that. Let's play that clip real quick. Hold that thought right there. We're gonna get this clip. Where you at, Sheffrin? Chef. And did he fall out? Did he do?
Well, let me say something else. This thing about they were talking about black people being the guy got on TV, national TV, and said, well, it's not that we're doing black people wrong. It's their pre-existing conditions is making them more apt to die from the virus. But black people, even though they had insurance were told to go home and treat it like the flu. So my point is, you're going to tell me 300 out of 350 million people in the United States, 30 million who consider themselves black or going to put down black on the census. The rest of them consider themselves other or white. Even Native Americans are white on the census sheet. And you're going to tell me that the majority of people that die from coronavirus now are black, and it's because they had diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity. It's like there's more whites than there are blacks. So you're going to tell me the numbers aren't going to match? That statistically you would get more white people having it than black people. But again, like I said, the reason that we have a high blood pressure and hypertension and diabetes was our diet, the 3 M's, meal, molasses, and meat. That was the poor man's, and not just the poor slave, but the poor man's diet. So they like I was talking about the pellagra. Pellagra makes your skin hard, your skin starts bleeding, it turns black. Niacin was the cure, niacin. Vitamin B was the cure. And the United States held it off from the black people and just watched them die in the South. So they don't not looking out for us. So for him to get on TV, national TV, and say that the reason that blacks are more dying more than other people is because of pre-existing conditions, that's that same bullshit they said about Tuskegee. They already had it, remember?
Freeze.
That's the same thing they said about the Indians, about the smallpox. Yeah, they did do it once, but the Indians already had it. Well, maybe they're going to say we already had it.
OJ,
Yeah.
you gotta freeze that. You done went off into conspiracy land.
No, I'm not. That's not conspiracy.
Hey, can I say one thing before you play your video, bro?
Yeah, I'm trying to get Chef, and I don't want to help Chef at.
Well, why you find? Well,
Go ahead.
Right. And so I say all that about security, but I do want to bring it back to the point that I'm a firm believer that change always comes from within, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to all be the change that we want.
Right.
And the only way that we can be that change in the IT field or the political realm or whatever we're dealing with is to be involved in it. And so I'm not trying to say anything that's going to scare people away from any type of STEM program or education. I'm trying to say this to motivate people, because if people want standards to change, guess what you got to do? You got to become the next Dr. Mott. You got to become the next person that brings forth the protocols and the policies and procedures that governs over the people. We got to be the people that are producing these products, these services. Because the last estimate that I saw was that 5G technologies in itself are going to bring forth $3.3 trillion into the economy by 2025. That's less than 5 years from now. That means that $3.3 trillion are going to be given to somebody, and I want it to be our people. I want our people to become scientifically literate, to be able to work with virtualization. I want us to be able to work with networking, engineering, the science, anything that you preach on teaching this platform. I want people to be able to take advantage of these things, find your market, and work it. You know what I'm saying? And then once you're in there, become a professional. Do like Dr. Ma'at did, get some papers out there, and now you can become someone who changes the industry. Because to be a doctor, that's what you gotta do. You gotta bring forth something to change things, to move it forward. And we're not gonna be able to change anything by just sitting down and complaining. We gotta change things with the pen. The pen is mightier than the sword. And if you don't know how to write policy and procedures based on the information that you already have and that you're bringing forth, you're wasting your time.
Ashe. Brother Ankh. Okay.
I think I'm on mute.
I think somebody's sharing their screen. I think Sheffrin is about to play this video.
About to play that clip. My fault. Uncle Jerry, we're going to definitely get back to you on that conspiracy.
Yeah, I got a microscope.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a microscope and a Petri dish, and I got a light microscope and an electron microscope. I have those things. Dive into it like that.
Okay. And so now you know.
Run it back one more time. Let's figure out what he got.
Yeah, I got a microscope and a Petri dish, and I got a light microscope and an electron microscope. I have those things. Dive into it like
Okay. And so
Okay, let's get into this. He said he had a light microscope and an electron microscope. Now, who amongst you believe that our good brother Polight has an electron microscope? Let's see. Let's start with Wiki and end in the Journal of Science. Let's see. What you think, Uncle Jerry? You think that man got an electron microscope in his house?
I don't know.
What do you know about electron microscopes, Uncle Jerry?
No, I don't know. I know it magnifies matter to thousands of times and that type of deal, or 10,000 times. I mean, it's a very intricate piece of equipment.
Okay.
But I have no idea. First of all, I don't make opinions about something I don't know nothing about.
You're right. I appreciate
I can say how I feel about it. Know what I mean?
Right.
But a fool is the only person that has an opinion about something that they know nothing about.
Right. So you don't know enough about the electron microscope to even have that, right? So
I know what it looks like. I mean, I know I've seen one. I mean, it's a big apparatus, but I don't know what the person has in their house, so I'm not going to speak on that. Nor am I going to laugh at him if he says he does that. You don't got to speak on it. We're going to talk about what you need to have an electron microscope in your house. Let's do that. And we can deduce from that you ain't did that. First of all, disadvantages. Electron microscopes, right, are expensive to build and maintain. So you not only got to build them where they at, you got to be able to maintain them. Now, Bubba Polight got bread, so I don't think that would stop him. Cost wouldn't stop him, right? But the capital running costs, right, of what's this? What's this? Light microscope systems, right? Now, with those are basic electron microscopes, right? Right.
Okay. Microscopes designed to achieve high resolution must be housed in stable buildings.
Right.
Not your house. Okay, hold on. Sometimes underground with special services such as magnetic fields canceling systems. Is that something you would have in your house, Uncle Jerry?
No.
Huh. Okay. Now, the sample largely has, let me see, stable, hold on. Am I saying this? The samples largely have to be viewed in vacuum. So when you're actually looking at stuff through this microscope, it has to be viewed in a vacuum.
It's usually
the molecules that
usually.
Okay, we're gonna use that word usually. Okay.
No, I'm not using. That's the word that you use.
Okay.
So
right.
because of the semantics.
Let me get through it though.
It gives pause. Go ahead.
Let me get through it though. I ain't say usually. I said it has to be viewed in a vacuum. We get the word usually. What the hell you said?
I thought the sentence before that had the word usually in it. I apologize.
Damn, you met Uncle Jerry. Uncle Jay. Let me finish, man. As the molecules that make up air would scatter the electrons.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So you got to have a clean room, in other words.
Right.
Exactly. All right. You're not going to have that in your house, but let's move to the Journal of Nature right now. Let's see. Now, this whole article in the Journal, in the Journal of Science, right, start with Wiki and end in the Journal of Science. It is talking about the cryo-EM. That's electron microscope, y'all. It say we need a people's cryo electron microscope. Scientists hope to bring revolutionary microscopes to the masses. When is this? What's the date on this? What's the date on this?
That's 2020.
Is what?
January.
I like this. So the good brother actually has technology that scientists are trying to bring to the masses. He already got it. Who amongst you believe he already got something that ain't even been produced yet? Who amongst you? Let me read this real fast. Let me back up with the journal. Let me back up with what the Wikipedia article was talking about. So this whole thing is, So this whole thing was talking about an experiment they was actually doing to use with the microscope, right? So I don't need to read all of that, right? But let me see. It says, but the cryo-EM has a big problem of its own, right? And it's talking about long waits to use extraordinarily expensive microscopes. However, tricky samples preparation means that even when researchers get access, much of their time ends up wasted because they talking about like, there's this dirty little secret of the field, right? LBM physicist Chris Russo, it's almost as hard as making the crystal. They say there's a lot of trial and error in it. So we're talking about actually using the microscope is a lot of trial and error and trying to get these samples together, right? Let me move on. It says, let me move right here, okay? It says, but Henderson sees those efforts as mere band-aids. So up here, they're trying to make the experiment more easier. So by the time they put it on a microscope, you know what I'm saying, which is hard in itself, right? So it says, but Henderson sees these efforts as mere band-aids. For him, what holds back the technique is the forbidden cost of the microscope. Henderson Russo and a small group of Confederates are trying to make cryo-EM affordable. It says a top machine costs about $7 million. Like,
right,
could afford that.
Right, you're right.
A top machine. He's a top rate dude, right? But you know, I'm not gonna say what kind of money that man got, because you know what I'm saying, he gets money. Okay, it's a preparing a room and install. So you have to prepare a room, preparing a room, and installing a microscope can cost just as much. Then comes, look at this, y'all, operational costs. Who amongst you think he can get a couple people from the conscious community to help him operate the daggone electron microscope? Who amongst you believe this? Let me finish.
Right.
A turret, listen, y'all, a turret of electricity dedicated to troubleshooting staff that can rise to 10,000 per day. First of all, the gas and electric company gonna come to your damn house.
Right.
Anybody ever try to grow weed in your house? Man, look, running those generators spike the electricity. Now imagine trying to run a high voltage electron microscope in your damn house. Who amongst you believe that you're actually gonna do that?
I mean, it goes back to what you always say though. It's like, ask them to see it. Like, source up or shut up. Like, you see, I sent you what I have in my home. I have a home lab. You know what I'm saying? Like, you seen the stuff that I have in my house. I have, you know, some oscilloscopes. I have all these type of things that I would need in my field. Matter of fact, I got some for sale right now if anybody want to buy one. Like, I have all these things. I got tons of breadboards. I have tons of things that people would need in the engineering field. And so, like, he may have been gifted one, but is it functional? That's the question, because all the costs that you're talking about is dealing with if it's functional. Because if it's not functional, he may have an older one that he was given by somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, ask him to see it. Like, that would kill the whole argument.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I need to see all that.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Because you can get one for, like, I mean, like, he knows a lot of people who got money. Somebody may have donated one to his cause. You can probably, he may have one. I can't say he does not have one. You know what I'm saying? Because it's something.
I'm a bet he don't. I'm a bet he don't got the room he need, the vacuum and all that. I'm a bet that because you couldn't do it in your house. Watch this. So much so. Watch this. Hold on. I say these microscopes, widely considered the best, have been sold by what's this, Thermo Fisher Scientific and installed around the world. LMB has the luxury of 3 for relatively small staff, and yet even its researchers must wait a month or 2. They ain't gotta wait, they can just go Polight House.
Yeah, I got you.
All right?
I got you. In that wiki statement, hold on 1 minute. In that wiki statement,
let me just finish.
The word, wait a minute, let me say this. So we can get back to what I was saying about I said usually viewed in the vacuum. The wordage was largely used in the vacuum.
Okay.
But if you look at the word, it gives some leeway that it can be viewed without the vacuum. Because it didn't say always viewed in the vacuum. It said largely viewed in the vacuum. I said usually viewed. And to me, largely means for the most part.
Not 100% of the time.
I didn't say, I said for the most part. I didn't say 100% of the time.
I said that means not 100% of the time.
And I understand that, but I didn't say that. I said usually. Said it doesn't say usually,
No,
but the
Uncle
word
Jerry,
was largely.
You don't even know when I'm agreeing with you. I'm
No, but that's why I'm saying. That's why I wanted to get
you
my
not have
point
to
off.
do it in a vacuum 100% of the time. That's all. I'm agreeing with you, brother.
Oh, but okay, but I'm saying that the statement that I read and what you put up was that is largely viewed in a vacuum, which means there's wiggle room that you can view it sometime without a vacuum.
Yes, sir.
That's the only thing I'm saying.
So you're not hearing me saying I agree with you. What more I gotta do?
Okay, I got you. All right, because I ain't used to hear you saying. I'm used to hear you saying pseudo. Not that I agree with you.
I didn't say that was pseudo though. I didn't. I
know.
That.
I'm just joking with you, man.
Oh. I know you're dedicated.
I'm just saying. I'm not usually hearing you say you right.
I mean, but if you got me, you got me. I ain't never fight past the stop sign.
Okay.
You never seen me fight past the stop sign.
No. I'm just saying. I'm just making it clear to anyone else, not just you. You know me.
Oh yeah. Because you always be wrong with that nonsense. That's why.
Okay. All right.
Right this time. All right. Now, most structural biologists have no access at all. So they ain't universities without no access. It said the wait can be from 3 months to infinity. Now they can just go for Polight House. They ain't got to wait.
I agree.
Anyway.
that sounds a little fishy. It sounds a little fishy. But
anyway.
Maybe they stole one. Maybe they broke it.
All I'm saying is, look, man, science is on the case, man.
I hear you. It is.
Science is on the case. Now knowing him, he'll go rent one. You can't even rent one of these. I don't know. But my thing is, stop it.
Why even play games with it? Why not just look up and just see how much, like, the cheapest one costs? And then look up to see if regular civilians can even purchase one of these. Because I'm pretty sure that regular people probably can't buy one of these. You probably have to have some type of license or something.
Right. I agree with that as well. I agree with that as well.
Especially if the people in the field gotta wait 3 months to infinity to use the one that they got. You know what I mean? It's probably not a whole lot of them around.
Yeah.
So basically, the brother is viewing viruses in his house. Who makes you believe that he's viewing viruses in his house? Does he have a bio? Lab 1, 2? What? Explain to me, brother. He's actually viewing. Who believes that he's viewing viruses in his house? Did he not say that? Conversation was about viruses.
Right.
Man. So I just find the whole thing a little fishy there. Watch, we're gonna see a Facebook post with him hugging the daggone microscope tomorrow.
Oh man.
Hey man, look, hey, any questions in the chat room, man? We got 15 minutes. Anybody want to join in? Ask some questions, man. We just having our fun. We didn't get a chance to go ahead and beat up Dr. PhillGood Valentine with that lead paint. We'll get him tomorrow. So I'll take his name about the title. You know what I'm saying? We're enjoying ourselves right here and we're having fun with science. That's what we do. Now back to you, Uncle Jerry. Back to you, Uncle Jay. In case y'all didn't know, that's my uncle right there. That's the first one that made me realize, hey man, you need to go ahead and you need to get a library, bro. Hey, Uncle Jerry.
Yo.
Every now and then I like to let him into a glimpse of my life, right?
Okay.
Do you remember that time your sister called you up? And what did she tell you?
I don't remember. She told me a lot of shit. I know her all my life.
She told you, come get this out my house.
Huh? Oh, when I came up your house?
Hold on, wait. Hold on. She said, come get this out my house. What was you instructed to come get out of our house?
You.
No, not me. Not me.
What was it?
Think about it.
Come and get this out my house.
She asked you, what is this in my house my son got in here?
Well, did I tell her I don't know? I usually go dumb on those.
Hell no, you knew what that was. Think about it. Come on, you getting old as hell, boy.
Yeah, I'm old as hell. Shit, no.
Think about it. Why would your sister call you rushing for you to come up the house and get this shit out of our house?
I don't know. I can't recall.
Really?
Yeah, I can't recall.
You do not remember?
No, I mean, she called me a number of times to get shit out the house. Come on, just between you and me, you know.
Well, that's some dumb apple. Yeah, a lot of times, huh?
I didn't know. Just between you and me. That's what I'm saying, you know. But no, I don't recall. I don't recall what she told me to take out the house. But if you refresh my memory, you know, I can co-sign it. Even though I got bad credit, I can co-sign it.
It was a big ass block or something that was white.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
More than you ever seen in your life?
No.
No, you seen more than that. You seen more than that?
Yeah.
Or you hiding something. I'm gonna have to call you up on the damn phone. Uncle, call you on the phone.
But no, I understand what you're saying. Yes. Okay.
You know what I'm talking about now, right?
Yeah.
So my point is, if I can go from that right there, right?
Yeah.
To this right here, I think is a remarkable recovery based on all the shit I done went through in my life.
It's a total sea change. It's a total sea change. Yeah, but someone would have to know that. You know what I mean?
Well, I tell people, but you my uncle, and you know though, you know what I'm saying? You've been there, you know.
Yeah.
You've been there every step of the way. You've been in the hospitals when I've been shot up. You've been through the whole 9 yards. You've just been through the whole fucking, yeah.
Yep. I mean, you know what? And people would find it hard to believe the many people in our family that's been shot up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If when you think about it, if you think about it, you know what I mean? We're a pretty lucky group.
Yeah, I believe so.
But I'm saying, but we're not special though. I mean, a lot of people in Baltimore get shot up. Remember the Jamaicans up in Park Heights? They were shooting up the police.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. Back in the day, they had them sofas. Yeah. Anyway, this is a kid-friendly show. I'm just want everybody to know what not to do in your life and how you can do something that's way, way better than being in them streets. And that's why we really teach scientific literacy, man. Not to glorify the lifestyle, you know what I'm saying? Not at all. You know what I'm saying? Not to do none of that. All right. Just to be real positive and to be real serious about life, man. Stick to scientific literacy. Do what Dr. Oyat Mayat did. Go to school, get your degree, and to be able to actually teach the students, man. Teach Black people what they need to know. And this is important because now, look where we're at right now. Scientific literacy actually saves the day. It allows you to see what the good information is and what the bad information is. That's exactly what is important for us. But yeah, so anybody got any questions in the chat room before we get out of here?
I just got one more, and it's not even a question. It's more or less a why. Again, why homeboy would get on TV and say that the reason that this is another thing. I understand that ibuprofen has been found in most of the people that have died with this coronavirus. Now, whether or not that it has any bearing, but I wouldn't take no ibuprofen. I'd take Tylenol. You know what I mean? And again, this whole thing about how come Black people aren't getting tested, and how come they just started, I think, yesterday or day before yesterday, dealing with death and race, about who was dying. Now, to me, I mean, and you call it a conspiracy theory. I'm just saying, I'm just looking out. You know what I mean? And about that, about the treatment that was out 2 months ago, that people were saying, well, no, because this person is not a doctor. Don't listen to what he's saying. If there was no treatment and there's no cure, what's the harm in trying, especially if you're using it on yourself? You know what I mean? But the malaria medication and the HIV medication supposedly deals with this particular thing. So how come we don't have it? It's because it's all been sucked up.
The source with Uncle Jared. You can't talk me to death. You're supposed to be the source with a claim.
Oh no, I'm just waiting to cut in, patiently.
Please do. No, please go ahead. Go ahead. Say something.
He
Well,
banging up. Yo, Cam.
Jesus Christ, yo. What the hell y'all got going on, man? Y'all need to stop drinking. Put the bottle back.
Oh, hell no. I ain't putting the bottle down. That's for real. That's number one.
Put the top back on it.
But explain why. Because you say don't use ibuprofen, or I'm saying that the hydroxychloroquine chloroquine was the treatment all the time for the last 2 months, and now everybody's jumping on the bandwagon.
No.
Making that
Okay.
up. Give me a
Well, I
second.
thought then I apologize. I thought you were addressing it to me, so maybe you weren't addressing it to me. Maybe you were just addressing the people in general. But go ahead.
Hey Jay, can I ask you a question, bro?
Go.
All right, so I understand what your point of view is about the ibuprofen, right? And are you aware that in India, the country has they banned that substance for their country?
Yes.
Do you know how many people have been infected with coronavirus in India?
No.
7,600. That's today.
Okay.
So that shows that there is no correlation between ibuprofen and the coronavirus. Would you agree?
Not at all.
Okay, elaborate.
No, I'm saying if someone tells you that a certain substance would exacerbate a problem, don't use it. That's what I'm saying. I didn't say that the people in
Who said that?
That because
Who said that?
it was. No, I was saying I just said that.
Who said that though?
He said the people who died, the majority of the people that died
had ibuprofen in their system. So what I'm saying is, okay, if you have Tylenol, if you have something that's not an
correlation, don't mean causation.
Right, but he didn't say.
I didn't say that.
People. He said the people.
I'm sure they had some water too in a cheeseburger, but that don't mean that shit killed them.
Well, if they were in India, they didn't have a cheeseburger because cows are sacred. But I understand your point.
And what a good point, Uncle Jay. This is what's crazy. We have a black Surgeon General, and we not even listening to him.
No.
Like we still trying to come up with our own, cool. Like he was telling us, yo, we have pre-existing issues that's causing us to die at a higher rate than other people. Like that's all he was saying. Like
that's all, and I agree with
right,
that.
So why can't we take that? And we have a black Surgeon General, and he carry around an inhaler because he had asthma as a kid. He's not saying that to us and just pointing the finger. He's putting himself in it. This is his medical expertise. He's the top medical physician for the whole country.
For the whole country. Yeah, the Surgeon General, not Fauci, not Fauci, but people are listening to Fauci, and people are listening to Fauci. But as far as the reason why black people are dying at a higher rate is because we have obesity, blood pressure, pre-existing conditions. You already had it. You know what I mean? You already had something that's going to help kill them anyway. But you're not. But
you don't agree with that?
Yeah, no, I do agree with it, but I'm saying, but not directed directly towards black people, because white people have high blood pressure, has diabetes, have obesity, and everything else.
But if we live in if we're economically doing worse than white people, then our healthcare, our food, everything is going like. Well, I don't understand the argument. How can we even argue that?
No, I'm not. I do believe that. I do. That's why when they ask you family history, do your people have heart attacks? Do they have high blood pressure? Well, if it runs in the family, there's a good chance you may have a heart attack. You may have high blood pressure.
I'm talking about us as a people. Do you believe that our health care and our overall physical health is on par with white America?
No.
Exactly. That's all they saying. So if you come, if you're a group if you belong to a group that has poor health, right, then this is going to be more devastating to your community than people who have better health. Like that's all they're saying.
But especially if you pseudo as hell and you don't believe in going to the darn hospital.
But what I'm saying is, there should be no argument to what I understand you saying that they gave us poor health. That's not even the issue. You feel me? Like during slavery, they gave us a poor diet. We in neighborhoods where we don't have access to healthy food. I understand, but that don't have nothing to do with the issue. The issue is we have worse health than white America, so it's going to affect us worse than it is white America. That's all it is.
And I'm saying because the numbers are greater for white America, people who call themselves white, than relative to group size, they should have just as many dying as we have. We're not the only people that have obesity.
We need to list all the factors, though.
We're not the only ones that have that factor, though.
I live in a black community. Hold on. I live in a predominantly black city. In a black community. I know these niggas don't listen. I know the majority of black people here in Baltimore for the last 2 weeks was saying black people don't even catch it. So they wasn't even following the guidelines that the country was giving us. We was walking around, they was walking around Baltimore saying black people don't get it. White people get it. I don't know who spread that nonsense. Then when they told them it was an aerosol, people start in the black community say it ain't no aerosol, it's the 5G. So it's just misinformation along with bad health and not listening to the authorities. That's our fucking problem.
I agree. I agree. But again, if the authorities aren't giving you any treatment, yes, go ahead.
Uncle Jay.
Yeah.
I think this gonna be our last segment on the show. And the Boston Globe just posted an article on the disproportionate amount of Black people actually coming down with the virus. We don't have a culture that actually, we're out of control with our culture, like, meaning there's no real rules and regulations. You know what I'm saying? Like at some point, some things must be reeled in, right? The younger generation, man, they run around this joint like it ain't nothing cooking. Like ain't nothing happening. Right now in Mississippi, they're having house parties. Baltimore, they're having house parties.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying it's not happening in the white community, because of course you got, you know what I'm saying? I grew up around white boys. Of course you got some dumbass white boys having parties, of course. But disproportionately, I'm saying that word wrong.
Disproportionately,
we're having more parties than they are, is the problem. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it's based off the fact that we feel like we supermen and superwomen because we came through so much. But one thing's for certain, we done came through the killer. You know, we call a European the killer, the master killer, but he's not. We're up against a genius right now, right? And I talked about this. We're up against an invisible monster. You know what I'm saying? A thinking, replicating monster that wants to live just as much as you want to. We talked about certain pathogens that actually infect the mice. Remember that pathogen infects the mice? And it makes the mouse feel like a super mouse, and it makes the mouse
fearless, makes it fearless.
Right. Yeah. So it can attack the cat, so the cat can eat the daggone mouse and get the pathogen.
And then when they pass their feces, and they pass through the feces, and then other things get affected. That's how it works.
Right. That's how serious that particular pathogen is. What about the bug that actually affects the cow, right? It gets in the cow, right? It starts out in the cow shit, right? The daggone, excuse my language, and the quote unquote snail comes along, right? And gets in the droppings of the cow, okay? Right, boom. And then the ant comes and gets, touches up against the silky substance that comes out of the snail, right?
Yeah, the slime, yeah.
The ants start to go crazy, and all it does is climb up to the top of the grass. So that the cow can eat the grass and start the life cycle again for this particular pathogen. So I've been saying this for a while now. I don't know, they don't got no studies on this, but haven't you noticed people been bugging a little bit harder lately? Like they almost feel like they can't get hurt by this thing. Things haven't necessarily been normal. You know what I'm saying?
No, not at all.
Now, this is not a scientific statement. This is my own. I ain't read it no damn where. But man, it's real weird. We started fighting each other real crazy, blah, 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 when we really need to be paying attention. You know what I'm saying? And black people we really think we super ninjas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We've been through slavery. We've been through 64. No, this enemy is cunning and baffling. This enemy has went around the world in less than 3 months, y'all. Around the world.
Yep.
There are more viruses and bacteria, right, by the tens of billions in the world, right? Evolution at its finest.
Right.
We're not used to this. The world's not used to this. It's bringing out all the resources of humanity. The greatest minds in humanity is fighting against this pathogen, bro. So that's why we don't even play the conspiracy game, Uncle Jay. That's why when Polight, King of the Pseudo, start talking, we're not even listening to him. This is not his time to shine. This is not when Unc don't answer the question to the fullest, I all of a sudden lose. No, I don't lose. The pathogen is winning. This is the time we go back and research and recheck what you got going on. This is that time. This is that moment. Brother, right. You know what I'm saying? Could have lost his life. People saying, you don't have it, you don't know you got it. Shut up. Like, you don't even understand how medicine works. Everybody don't gotta get the test. They got the process of elimination. You got these symptoms. They do it all the time at the hospital.
So would you say the people, since they say United States now is the epicenter of what is have more casualties to it than any other country in the world?
Yes. Do
you think it's because like black, since we stuck on stupid, the whites stuck on stupid too, and everybody's
we stuck on American culture. Freedom. Everybody comes here for extraordinary freedom, right? Can work for you and against you. But in a time when you got a monster hunting you down and want to live, this is the wrong time to have freedoms. Yeah, this is the time to have some of those liberties taken away.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I'm not agreeing with you. I'm saying, oh yeah, that's what's happening. I'm not particularly agreeing with you that this is the time to take it away, but that's what's going to happen. That's what's happening. It's heading towards that.
Listen, China, they got on the wraps because they put a gun to your head and say, keep your ass in the house. Baltimore, Maryland, dudes walking down the street. We from Baltimore, yo. We ain't listen, we out in the streets. No mask on, no nothing.
Right. But it doesn't that sound like the same thing that happened with AIDS 30 years ago? Now, people don't give a fuck about AIDS no more. You know what I mean? Oh, they look like they clean. You know what I'm saying?
No, AIDS is still jumping. AIDS is still jumping.
It's still jumping, but now they got PrEP. You know what I mean? Now they got 5-minute commercials on TV. Here, take this PrEP, so there's a good chance you won't catch it. They still not looking for a cure. They just trying to. That's the same thing they doing now. They just. What? What?
What do you mean they're looking for a cure? You funny, yo. You got stuff.
Well, you think they are? You think?
Uncle Jack.
Okay. All right.
More money. Listen, this way y'all always get it twisted. It's more money in the cure. Because they already know, based off of scientific study, based off of the study of humanity, based off of the fact that 99% of all living organisms that has ever came to Earth has died out and went extinct. White people or Chinese people couldn't kill you nowhere remotely close to how nature kills you. They already know everybody is dying every minute of the day. They already know you're going to do too much of something anyway. They already know. They just try to get the most out you while you're living. The money is trying to keep your ass alive or make you think they can keep your ass alive longer than you're going to live. They already know the average age of a person. No matter how much you run, they already know that the human body ain't going to make it past 70 or 80. And if you go past that, you're a fucking superhero. They already know the numbers. So they always try to give you something to make you think you're gonna live. You ain't living longer. You know what I'm saying, man? Technology has allowed us to live a little bit longer, extend our life. Let me correct that. Technology have allowed us to extend it out a little bit longer. Vaccines, population growth, you don't die at such an early age. But man, the money is in trying to cure people, Uncle Jerry. That's what the money is not made in trying to kill you.
No. Okay, no. I'm saying the money is made in handling the symptoms and controlling the symptoms. It's not made in the cure. If I gave you a car
Jerry,
that never broke, no, wait, let me explain and say this one time. If I gave you a car that never broke down and I sold cars, you're never going to come to me again because the car never breaks down.
That's not how the human body works, Uncle Jerry. Not trying to cut you off.
Look,
we're not cars.
Look,
and cars still break down.
Everybody dies of the same thing. Your heart stops. I don't care whether you shot, whether you got COVID-19.
Let me get your assertion real fast. So you are asserting that they're literally trying to just treat the symptoms and not cure you because they want you to be sick all the time.
The medical community, the pharmaceutical companies, yes. Yes.
Now that's the pseudo nonsense. You can't.
Okay. I mean, so you're saying that
I'm saying
that if it's a cure, women, you're saying that. Look, I believe this. If there's a cure, everybody on the podium that every afternoon that comes on TV, they got it. You know what I mean? But it may not be a cure for everybody. You know what I mean? Everything don't work for everybody.
There's no cure for death, Uncle Jerry.
That's my point. Everybody dies from the same thing. Your heart stops.
Okay, whatever, man.
You know what I mean? Just okay, like for instance, the Heart Association. Let's see if we can stop heart attacks. Okay, that's fine. But in reality, everybody dies from the same thing. Your heart stops. But they still making money off the Heart Association. They're trying to figure out how to stop.
I don't understand that logic, man.
Okay.
Put this link in it. I don't understand. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna let you. What?
Okay.
Everybody, of course. Okay. Something else break down. You don't get it. Come on, Uncle Jerry. Of course, everybody's heart stops.
But my point is, I'm saying in general. Oh, here's my point about the Pellagra. Look up Pellagra. The cure was simple niacin, vitamin B, and it was held from someone. It was held from Black people. Now, I'm not making this up. That's the absolute truth.
Then drop the source then.
Pellagra, look it up. Do Wikipedia. Y'all do Wikipedia.
Okay, go get that source. Drop it in the back chat.
I hate Wikipedia. You know what I mean?
I didn't say you had to do Wikipedia. I said the source.
Wikipedia is a place to start. It ain't where you finish searching stuff. It's where you start searching.
Okay, we'll get that source. Then drop it in the back chat so we can share it with the chat.
You know what I want to do though?
What's that?
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with y'all. What time is it? We running out of time here.
We running out of time. Can I? How do I do I? Okay, I'm gonna ask a question now. I'm gonna do Wikipedia Pellagra and put it in the chat room. Can I do that?
I mean, what's the point though? I don't believe you. You're not convincing me of your argument.
I'm saying that says exactly what you just claimed.
I'm saying I'm just gonna put it in the deal. Can I put it in the chat room?
You can do it.
So the source that you claim that you have is going to say that, hey, Black people were suffering from such and such. The cure to it was such and such. It was withheld from Black community.
Yes.
Your source is going to say that.
Yes, and I'm saying Wikipedia can do it. If you just put in Pellagra, the first thing going to come up is Wikipedia.
Okay. Well, while you looking up all that craziness, I got something I want to say.
Okay.
Anyways, peace to the panelists, peace to the chat. Oh, Lord. All that rambling. Goodness gracious, man. Let's just say this. The Surgeon General for our lovely country, you know what I mean, he made some really good points, and it's not shocking that, it's been a consistent, well-known thing that we as Black people, that we tend to not eat the most healthiest. We do have this lovely problem where we like to use drugs, don't work out as much as we probably should, living in poverty, not having the best of access to healthcare, and then we have a decent amount of us that are not into going to the doctor, especially men. And then you have the lovely pseudo community that feels like the doctors are trying to kill them with vaccines or whatever else, so they don't go to the doctor. And then you living in these impoverished areas, all packed into these apartment complexes and whatnot. So yeah, it's a perfect recipe how this virus would affect us way more than it would white people who tend to have more money, who tend to go to the doctor on a regular, go to checkups 2 or more times a year. You know what I mean? That shoot, they even got the sniffles. They going to their darn doctor. So it's understandable how once this got into the Black community, this was going to be pretty devastating. Like, it shouldn't be a shock. And anybody that's also running with that other claim about the ibuprofen, y'all need to stop saying that. There's no evidence to support that.
You made that
that
up.
the ibuprofen is making the coronavirus or the symptoms more severe. I was just watching a lecture yesterday where they were talking about the common myths, and that joint is definitely considered a myth. And same thing about with the other two treatments that they're trying to work on using is just a treatment for the symptoms. It's not going to cure the virus. They still don't have a vaccine. It's still a work in place. I mean, a work in progress. I mean, my mistake. It's still a work in progress, you know. And if anybody wants to watch any of the lectures I've been watching for the past couple of days, like I can definitely throw those in the chat. And they're actually pretty good. They're really entertaining. Like they go into the history of the virus. And I actually learned something too, Unc, that I didn't know if you knew this or not, but I didn't know this.
Okay, go ahead.
Like I know that we've talked about this in the past, you know, where like the bacteria that's in us and on us, it plays a role in keeping us alive. But I never would have thought that some of the viruses that we come into contact with keep us alive too. I never would have thought that.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the I
Yep.
can't remember which one it was. I think I was watching a lecture about viruses. It was like a virology lecture course that they teach to the college students. And the professor was talking about how, you know, the world, when it first kind of started out, they believe that the theory is that it was all RNA. There was no DNA. And then, you know, DNA kind of came around. And then a lot of the RNA viruses that the hominid species came in contact with played a role into a lot of our DNA, and some of it probably could be how we kind of evolved a bit too. And I just thought that was really interesting, like something that we always look at negatively. You know, we always think of a virus as, oh, that's a bad thing. You know, but you know, to hear it from a different perspective like that, it was just kind of interesting. I was just like, oh shit.
You know, we got viruses in our DNA, right? From the beginning.
Yeah, but I thought that, you know, they would, like, I thought that, you know, like some of the viruses, yeah, they're trying to kill you, and some of them, they don't bother with you. Because, you know, like some of the foods that we eat, you know, people think that, oh, you know, you need to stop eating meat. You need to stay away from animals because that's where we're getting all the viruses from. And that's just not true. There's a decent amount of viruses that affect plants and vegetables that also affect humans too.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but there are some. So it's just impossible to avoid. And, you know, a common, what, you know, birds, they fly around pooping everywhere or whatever else, touching the trees and whatever, you know, dropping whatever in the water. Like we're breathing in viruses all the time. Just some of them just don't mess with us.
Because our immune system, right?
Yeah.
Some of them live in, some viruses live in us and affect other people, don't affect some people. And like I said, at the onset of our DNA being created, viruses are right there at the beginning, within the DNA. You can look that up. Yeah, it's been a powerful show today. Closing remarks. And you know, we're gonna close it out. We don't want to go too long. When people look at the show, say that's a 2-hour show. I can get through that, right? We want to do between 2 and an hour and a half. We don't want to do them long joints, man. Wish we could have took some calls today, but that's okay. We may go live tomorrow. Kyle, you want to close the remark, brother? Appreciate you coming through with that expertise on said subject, brother.
No, I appreciate the opportunity to come through to your platform and just share the information I've learned. I want to say, just to close, this Black Power. And once we realize that Black Power is knowledge, then we'll be able to fully embody that.
Appreciate it. Chef Fernell, where you at? Closing statement, brother.
Yeah, yo, this was a good show. I appreciate that, Kyle. Definitely learned a little bit. And for me, I think you put the 5G conspiracy argument to bed for me. Now, it might not be for everybody. Some people in the chat might still feel like, you know, but we're not even using 5G yet. It's not even here. So how could it be causing a goddamn coronavirus or the symptoms? Like, so you killed that. Like, so yeah, I appreciate that. This was a good show. I mean, I think we finally got a silver bullet for that argument. Appreciate it. Peace.
No doubt, fam. Appreciate
CK.
it.
Oh, I said what I needed to say.
Okay.
You know, I just wanted to thank everybody, you know, for coming on the panel. Thank you, Kyle. It was good to have you here. Hopefully you come back. Everybody in the chat, you know, thank y'all for coming through. Of course, if y'all have questions, drop them in the chat and we'll try to look it up or address it or whatnot.
Yeah, we got 132,000 in the chat room, had up to 140,000. Appreciate that. Hey, make sure y'all subscribe to the Pseudo Killers, man. Yeah, just click on that icon, man. The Pseudo Killers right there. Look, watch this. Yeah, say, yo, click on that icon. Everybody right now, we should have 100, damn near 200 subscribers. Go ahead, click on that icon right there, right? And
Wait, where?
Right in the chat.
I just got out of the chat. I didn't see it. Hold on.
It say Pseudo Killers. I just said,
Yeah,
yo.
I guarantee you dropped it in the wrong flipping chat,
Look, you don't see that? I see Alan Brown. I see everybody.
Nah, man, I don't know what you got going on. You
Alan,
might be
you don't
blocked
see,
from your own
Alan,
chat.
can't you see me right there, that black icon? Y'all bugging.
I don't see it.
I'm gonna drop it. I'll drop it.
No, I just said, yo, you gotta click my icon on. You don't see my icon in there?
No, I'm in the chat. I'm in the chat.
We had this same problem last time. Do you not remember?
Well,
and at the bottom it says send to all panelists. Is that the one that says send to all panelists at the bottom?
No, man. I'm right underneath it.
Hey, tell Rob Bourne to answer to look at his Facebook messages. I've been sending him that work, man. I thought he was gonna call in and saw the other day, man.
Yeah,
I dropped the link. You're too slow.
Check your shit.
Wow.
CK.
I already dropped it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Drop it again. You don't see me right underneath you?
Nope. You are blocked from your own channel.
Huh? Say what?
Your moderators blocked you from your own channel.
Damn.
Well, did you see the two items I put in the chat room?
What, the back chat?
I just got chat. I'm on Zoom.
Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to find this other lecture I was watching. The one that was really good. Where did I put it?
I cannot believe that. 61 subscribers, yo. You mean to tell me? So when I put the chat, really?
Yeah, man. Now, if you're signed into the account, the actual Real Black Atheists on Fire, I guarantee you'll be able to put it in there.
Yeah, but why can't I do it under the daggone Pseudo Killers though?
Because I don't know. Anybody wants to watch any of the lectures I've been watching for the past couple of days, like I can definitely throw those in the chat.
Man, that's just stupid.
Make sure y'all snatching up these videos now.
So you mean to tell me you ain't saying
okay. I just and the one that I'm looking at now says, yeah, back here where I've been waiting. So what chat room is that?
Oh, you in the wrong one. You in the that's the daggone.
That's the only one. That's the only one I have privy to.
Oh yeah, you gotta go on YouTube. You trying to do what?
I got you. Okay. All right, I got you. Can someone begin on this one and take this information off here and put it on the YouTube for me? Or, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're saying. CK, you gotta get that. Hey, we great close out.
What are you talking about?
Get on the phone.
The Pellagra thing is on,
damn,
it's on a different chat room.
How the hell you not in here, Nahisi? The hell is going on around here? You serious, Nahisi?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm on that chat room. So where chat y'all in?
The actual YouTube chat? There's two different chats. There's the chat for the Zoom, which the people that are watching can't see. Only the people that are on the panel can.
Woo! I've been lost.
Yeah, you've been putting yours in the Zoom chat.
Wow.
Wow.
You thought you was rocking.
So I should take it out of the Zoom chat and go on Facebook.
Yeah, hey, look,
No,
man,
somebody can put it on.
Hey, Nahisi, you got to
please do. Please
make, brother. Because we out here.
All right, hey, good night, all. Good night, all. I appreciate everybody. You know what I mean? I'm glad I hooked up here.
All right, Concrete Court.
Hey, I just want to say, you know, that was a very clarifying show, and it was, you know, very informative also. And you know, I just appreciate you having me on again. Appreciate everybody, you know, that came on to listen. Hopefully, everybody, you know, got the same thing I got out of it. And you know, I appreciate it because it was a nice, short and sweet show. So that's what we need to do, is keep it nice, short and sweet and informative. So
Yeah, that's about order of the Queen. The Queen mandated that. She was like, look, goddamn, I can't be listening to some long shows like that. Get it under wraps. Get it under wraps, I said, not a problem, Queen.
I mean, all you gotta do, Unc, is have a script and just have a script, and then
yeah, and write it up for
like
me. Write that script up for me. I'll follow it.
Yeah, just have an objective, and then hey, we talked about this objective. Boom, we moving on to the next one.
All
Talked
right,
about this objective.
No, I like that. You know what I always say? If you got an idea, then you the best one to put that idea in motion. So there you go. Dedicated to having a script for the shows.
Man, I can't do everything, Unc. Jesus.
Nah, you that's right. You can do that though. That's like the hardest thing to do. I put the links in the chat room.
I mean, it's your show. You should know what the hell you want to do on your show.
I know what I want to do on my show. You want to know what you know what you do on your show?
I don't be having shows.
You do. It's called a pseudo killer show. Okay. Funny as hell. See, funny. See, now we backing out. Wait a minute.
We gotta be consistent.
Really hold on. We don't really need a script. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, we gotta be on point though, because it's your show. So if you want us, if we talking about
it's
something
not
specific,
just my show. The pseudo killers is our show. Stop. It's not the real.
We gotta be on page with you though. That's what I'm saying. Us need to be on page with you.
But if you
so we gotta know what you want to do.
But have you checked the chat rooms? They're in there. What we're gonna do is in there. I got you.
You ain't type nothing up in there. I've been throwing videos up in there. You ain't been saying nothing.
Yeah, because you put too many videos up in there. Move the chat.
Anyway, 3 videos is too many?
No, I'm playing with you. Oh, look, let me get out of here for this woman start cussing me out live on that. Look, everybody, I appreciate it. Give me the mom.
Man, I love all of y'all, man.